Greetings, everyone. Michael Raso here, Film Photography Podcast. I'm here
Hey,
today with,
hey, it's Mark O'Brien.
that's right, Mark is the author of the Random Camera blog, the long-running Random Camera blog, as well as Monochrome Mania Zine, and regular contributor to the Film Photography Podcast. It's great to see you, Mark.
Hey, it's great to be here, Mike. You know what? This
What?
fall will mark the 20 years of Random Camera Blog. That's a long time. And 20 years of Flickr.
Is that right?
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about Flickr and the Random Camera blog.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So, folks listening today, we just have two quick topics. We're going to be talking about a brand new film, which is our FPP black and white X-ray film in 35 millimeter, as well as, speaking of Monochrome Mania, which is a zine, Mark's new zine. He has a new issue, and he's going to give us an update on that. And hey, as I'm frequently going to say now and in the future, let's get right to it. FPP black and white X-ray film. This is a film that started out in large format for us, 4 by 5. I mean, since FPP's inception, we've been saying, oh, wouldn't it be great to have an X-ray film that would be in 120 format, in 35 millimeter format? So, you know, we were able to formulate, and the FPP works with all of the major film producers. And this is maybe something folks don't know because a lot of people are screaming about
Oh, you just rebrand film.
all of our FPP film is basically made to order by major producers for the film photography project. So X-ray film in 120 and 35 millimeter is not a common item, and it's something we requested and we had made specifically for us. It's a new film, folks. It's a new FPP film. And I'm happy to say, Mark, because Mark, you mentioned that you walked into a camera store recently and they had some FPP film. That's very
Yeah,
exciting.
it is. I was in Raleigh and visited two camera stores, Southeast Camera and Peace Camera, and both had FPP products in the store. There were people on the staff who listened to the podcast. So I think it's really awesome.
That is awesome. So this will be a film that it will be available nationally. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm most excited because Mark, you're excited about the film. So really quick before I turn it over to you about your experience with this film. So the unusual thing about this film is when we talk about um, orthochromatic, this is an orthochromatic film. When we talk about orthochromatic film or even X-ray film, we're usually talking about single digit ISOs. We're usually
Mhm.
talking about ISO 6, ISO 3, ISO 1. This is a 400 ISO, 200 to 400 ISO X-ray film, which orthochromatic, which in of itself is very unusual.
I
So,
agree.
so for film shooters, for still film shooters, this is very exciting. So it's new, it's exciting. It's got a great box designed by Paige Davis. With that cool artwork.
Oh, I love it.
The
Like
kids are
the old
gonna
X-ray specs.
Yes, that's the inspiration, in the back of like, your Famous Monsters magazine, you would see those ads.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking 60s folk here, 60s, 1960s, not 1860s. But so, this film is now available in 35 and in amazing packaging. I sent you some rolls, so
Yeah.
you really, really liked it. So what were your thoughts about it?
Okay, so originally I tried out the 120 film and I liked it a lot. And I rated that at ISO 100. And I know you said it could go higher, but I was really happy with what I got at 100. And that typical orthochromatic look to it, where some colors, especially reds, would be muted, because, and then of course it is black and white, but it's the it does not see red very well. So if you have someone wearing, let's say, black clothes, pale skin, the contrast is really quite interesting. But I liked it. I shot some portraits with it in 120, and I thought they came out fantastic. The 35, I was especially interested in when you sent that to me because it's not as you say, it's not a typical film that you're going to find in 35 millimeter. And at that ISO setting, I mean, most ortho films that are out there have an ISO. The fastest ones up till now have an ISO of about 80, 50 to 80 ISOs, which are still fairly slow films. And this one with the 200, I just shot it, as you said, at box speed, bright conditions that were high contrast. It seemed crunchy to me, you know what I mean? It just crisp. When I had it and I was doing some landscape shots with it on a cloudy day or partly cloudy day, and they were just beautiful range of tonality. So I think it's one of those films that if you use it in a different situations, you get a better feel for it. Just like with any film, you've got to try it out and see how you like it under different lighting conditions, different subjects, and overall, I think people who haven't used it yet, they really ought to try it because I think if you were shooting portraits with it under overcast skies or under in the with a in the shadows, I think you'd really appreciate what you're going to get out of it.
I did want to mention to folks the FPP black and white X-ray film. It's 35 millimeter, 120, 16 millimeter, and regular 8 millimeter, also known as double eight. I think we're very grateful in 2024 and hopefully beyond that, we all have so many film stocks to choose from right now. It's never the variety of film has never been this large. I mean, not since when? The 1990s?
Yeah.
So it's really a great time to shoot film, everyone. So, all right, hey, we're going to be right back and talk about Monochrome Mania. That's the zine that has its own song.
That's right.
That's right.
Monochrome.
Can you do
I'm
it?
mono and I'm chrome and I'm a maniac.
Your robe.
No, not that tree, the other one.
Kenna.
You better run now.
I never could reach him when he was glued to the TV. So he won't notice how bright and soft I got his robe with Downy fabric softener. But you'd think he'd notice the nice smell. Downy gets everything April fresh.
Mom, how'd you make this smell so cool?
He noticed. You think the stat's on the blink?
The April fresh smell of Downy.
I'm a mono, that means one. I'm a chrome, and that means fun. I'm a monochrome maniac.
Hey, we're back. Mark, how long have you been producing the zine Monochrome Mania?
Since 2020.
Oh, okay.
And this latest issue is number 13 and
Okay.
will be out in mid to late June.
Do you communicate with other zine producers? Like, is there a little world of film photography zines, and do you talk to these people?
Yeah, I do. Lots of times there are people who are involved in zines that may only have images in somebody else's zine. They don't actually produce them themselves. And there's people who invite photographers to send their images in to produce a zine. Almost all of my zines have been my own work. And although I did have one collaborative zine with 3 other photographers on using the Ansco Pix Panorama, and by golly, that's been also a very nice one, and people really like that issue. Last year in Raleigh and Durham, they have this Click Photo Fest every year, and last year they had a table or a whole section just for people who do zines, and of course, a zine in that world could be anything from a graphic novel to just photography or something that's combines a lot of words and text and tells stories or whatever. So a zine is not anything, there's no one archetype zine. It can be whatever you want to make of one. And so over the years, I've been in contact with other photographers mostly through Instagram, because that's where you meet people, who are shooting film. And I've received a bunch of different zines over the years, and some of them are just, really great. Now, there are people who, like, for example, here's one, Back Roads of the Midwest, which has photographs from a bunch of different photographers in it. And this came out, when was that? In 2020. And that is all square format for the most part. And there's another one, Anna Star, who I think is Anna S on Instagram.
And these are other
Plastic,
people's zines, right?
yeah, other people's zines. Plastic Perspective has another one. There's
So
been a
real quick, if I search plastic perspective on Instagram, will I find that zine?
I believe you will. And then there's another gentleman I know from Tucson, Kiki Wilkins, and he's been putting these great views from Tucson zines out over the years. And this one is all on your favorite Aerochrome.
Oh,
And
I just
that's fantastic.
I just found Mark. I just found a small batch of Aerochrome in the fridge.
Oh, be still my heart.
I know.
I know someone online who would probably pay you whatever you asked for it, and you know who it might be.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Well, there are a few people.
One person that we both know is Eric, who does Conspiracy of Cartographers,
Oh yes.
and he is a zine making machine. I tell you, he puts out all different kinds and different formats.
Yes.
I like the one he did recently. Most recent one is called Expired, just like that commercial, Expired, and it's all on expired film, and some of this is like 30-year-old film or older. But also you have people who put out little handmade zines that are just done like on a color Xerox, and they put them together. This is by Ann Holland, who's out in Kansas, and these are only eight to 10 pages, but
Right.
they can be very personal little projects, and you can get your work out there to people who really want to see what you're doing. Another one is Beatrice Thornton, out west in the western part of the country, and she has one where if you do it
Oh,
right, you can just make a little accordion fold zine like that, and
sure,
it's all from
sure.
one piece of paper. And what her big thing is using botanical compounds that she extracts from plants to make her own homemade developers. And I'm really impressed with what she does.
That's pretty amazing.
And of course, there's others who have these other really cool zines. This is by Liz Potter, and
Yes.
very good stuff. A film community project. These can be group projects. Twin Lens Challenge that came out a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Well, actually 4 years ago. I think the pandemic caused a lot of people to sit down and say, okay, what can I do? I want to collaborate with other people, but I can't physically be with them. So what if we did a zine, and then I invite other people to send their work in? So that really has been, I think, a boon to people who are reaching out and finding other people who share the same kind of passion that they do. And so these all other zines have all been fairly small in format, but lots of the people are still doing things in 8x10.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice. That's a magazine.
that's a magazine. This is Jim Gray. He's got a website. I've known him online for many years.
Oh,
Uh,
I frequently visit his blog.
yeah, yes, he's got a good blog.
He
Another one,
by the way,
Substrate.
I mean, Mark, I just can't stop myself. Jim Gray did a blog about the Magimatic 126 camera. And
Oh,
he talked about real quick, folks, just indulge me. Jim Gray talked about, you got to find it. Just search Magimatic. His blog shows up. He talked about how all his photos as a child were blurry because the shutter on the front is so hard to press that you shake the camera when you press the
oh.
shutter. Anyhow, back to zines, Mark.
Well, what I love about our film community is that there's a lot of creative people out there, and you also have zines that really border on magazine publications. They're so professionally done. ENSO is one. It comes out of Arizona, and it stands for North, South, East, West, and it usually features photographers from different parts of different corners of the country and their work, and he interviews them, and nice scene. And I will give Kent Chamness a call out here because he really does a good job with ENSO. And then there's one that's not really a zine. I mean, you could call it a zine. You subscribe to it like you would any magazine. It's called Shots Magazine. It's been out for years, and it
Shots.
features shots. Yeah, and it only features black and white photography, and they have
Oh, okay.
people can submit their work. They'll have a call out for a certain subject or whatever.
Folks listening,
And
you got your pen out, your pen and paste, your pencil and pen out so you can write these down.
yeah,
Shots.
Shots Magazine is
Yeah,
definitely worth subscribing to.
that's how
Now,
Trackman would say it. Shots.
Hey.
I'm also involved with the Asheville Camera Club, and this year we collaborated and put a little zine out, and it's been
Oh.
well received.
Do you guys get together, Asheville Camera Club, like on the
Yes,
street?
we meet every month, and we sometimes it's in Asheville, sometimes it's someplace else, and I missed last month's meeting or April's meeting because they went to a waterfall, which would be kind of cool. It's got, this is our first attempt at a collaborative zine, and I think it worked out quite well.
Who was the editor of that zine?
That would be Ruben Negron. You can buy those. I believe they have Asheville Camera Club has probably something online. You can find it.
That's pretty cool. I'm just curious, how many people show up for an Asheville Camera Club street walk?
We've had, I'd say, a range from like 6 to 15.
Okay.
And I think, we're pretty much an informal, loose-knit group, which is nice. I hate it's so regimented that you have to go and everyone has to be an officer or something, but it works quite well. I've been doing Monochrome Mania now, like I said, since 2020. My last one is still available, and I have other ones on my Etsy store, but this one was 20 years of Holga, and it was all square format Holga images, and from 2003 to 2023. So it's a long time to be using a Holga over the years.
Do you remember when you got your first Holga?
Yeah, I do. It was about 2001 or 2, I think.
Okay.
And I had never had one before, and it was sort of it took me a while to appreciate its qualities, shall I say.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And the Holga still is a very versatile camera. I mean, like anything else, if you know its limitations and its range of capabilities, you can make it work for you and come away with some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's not like it doesn't automatically take a great photo every time. My latest issue is called, like I said, it's in production right now. It's called Home and Farm News, and it's a very personal project, actually. It's about my wife's family and the farmhouse that her mother designed and was built in 1948. And her mother turns 98 in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic.
So I wanted to get it done before her birthday.
Right.
But it's, for me, this is 64 pager, so it's not my usual 36 page zine. And it's all black and white, of course, because it is Monochrome Mania. Lots of text and lots of photographs as well. I think it'll appeal to anyone who likes to know about a sense of place and how those places change over time. It's really what a lot of this is about. So, and if you're looking, if you're wondering, how do I make a zine? How do I get started? There's a lot of different ways of doing it. I mean, some people back in the day, when we were making zines before they were even called zines, we called them newsletters. And when I was in high school, I made them on a mimeograph machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And then later on, we printed them out on laser printers, and then we used Xerox machines. You can still do it that way. I mean, there's nothing saying you can't. I mean, it's all, like I say, zines are a very wide ranging thing for people to pick up, and it's a way of self-expression. So within that way of self-expression, you can do it any way you want. And because it's up to you. I mean, if you want to make it look glossy like a magazine on the newsstand, that's great. But it can just be something that's hand done, looks like it's been made by hand, lovingly sewn together or whatever. And it doesn't matter. It's all how you want to present your work and how you feel about distributing it. In my own mind, I would much rather have 60 to 100 people buy a zine from me than sell one print that hangs on someone's wall. I
Really?
think, yeah. You reach, and I'll be honest, I made more money selling zines than I have photographs on walls. So, but for me, it's a much more rewarding thing because you also get more interaction with your readers than you would with someone buying a print. And I value that, having that interaction with people who buy the zine and give me feedback on what they liked about it. As far as if you're designing it, you want to design one, you don't need fancy software. I just use word processor called LibreOffice, which is free. It's open source.
Yes,
I'm not,
Libre.
I'm not,
Sure.
I'm just using their word processor to put the zine together, and that's all there is to it. I mean, it could be, you could have one of these expensive programs from, the big names up on the market who want you to sell their stuff from the cloud, but you can do it yourself any way you want. You don't need to do it that way. You can even just paste pictures on a page and use your typewriter and then go make copies.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what you want to do.
Lo-fi.
Yeah, lo-fi.
Lo-fi. So when is your new issue going to be available?
It should be available June 17th or 18th.
And are back issues still available?
Yeah, some back issues are still available. It's probably about 6 back issues, I think, different ones that are still available up and those are in my Etsy store, and just look under MFO photos. That'd be my Etsy shop.
MFO photos on Etsy.
Yep.
And of course, if you search Monochrome Mania Zine in Google, it'll show up as well.
Yes, it will.
The Google.
Yeah. And some of your issues have sold out, correct?
Yes. There's a few that I've had reprinted because they were so popular. For example, I have one on 120 and 620 toy cameras, which is very popular. I reprinted that one. And I have one on 35 millimeter toy cameras or plastic cameras. And that one's still in print. Still have copies of that one. I think at some point what I'll probably just do is make not a zine, but make an actual book using a lot of the content in some of those
Right.
zines. And because there's enough material there with new material to put together and do that. The first zine I did was about low ISO films, and that's been long sold out. And I didn't realize that, there's people like, can I get a copy by PDF or whatever? And it's like, no, I'm sorry. This is the whole reason for doing the zine, is to have
Right.
a product in your hand physically and not electronically.
Obviously, you're on Instagram.
Yep.
You're on Flickr.
MFO photos all the way.
MFO photos all the way. Okay, great. I think we got it covered.
Okay, good.
We're up to date. And of
As
course,
much as we can be.
if you folks out there listening or watching have any comments, you could either leave a comment down below or send a email, podcast@filmphotographyproject.com. Always happy to hear from everyone. Thanks everyone for joining us. And we're going to be back very, very soon.